Hello everybody, it's me, Auzzy, and welcome back to RuneScape 3's Iron Man. If you do find yourself enjoying this video, please leave a comment. It may turn up in one of these videos. Also, make sure if you like this video, hit the like button down below. It really helps by supporting me. And if you want to see more of my content, hit the subscribe button and don't forget to turn on the bell notifications. Without further ado, let's get into this video. Before we go any further in this week's journey, I want to go ahead and upgrade my storehouse for my Anachronia base camp. This is going to allow me to store even more resources, which will allow me to upgrade my camp even more. Next, I want my camp workers to focus on resources needed for sleeping quarters. This is going to be extremely handy in the future because it will allow me to have more workers to help me get even more resources. While I'm here at the Bank of Anachronia, I also want to open up all these geodes. This could be good because it could give me all the items that I need for crafting and summoning. So let's grab these out of the bank and see what we get. Alright, we just finished up opening 452 geodes, and this is all the items we were able to salvage from them. But now, I want to go get some more quests done. So the first quest I set off on is the Restless Ghost, which there aren't a whole lot of requirements for this quest, other than needing to face a level 7 skeleton warlock. So I set off to Lumbridge and spoke to Father Eric at the Lumbridge Seradomus Church, where he informed me of a ghost haunting his graveyard. So I set off to see his associate known as Father Ernie in the Lumbridge Swamp, where he informed me of how he vowed to stay and meditate in the cabin for a solid 2 years. So instead of coming with us, he agreed to help by giving me a ghost speak amulet and also informed me that most ghosts can't move on to the afterlife because they have some unfinished business. I left Father Ernie's cabin to go to the graveyard and open the casket and spoke to the ghost, which he wasn't shocked that I could understand him. So he told me a story of how he was ambushed in his past life by a warlock near the copper and tin mines in the Lumbridge Swamp. Then that's where I could find his ghost skull. So I set off to the mines and found his skull. However, I also found the warlock. After the almighty battle, I grabbed the skull and went back to the graveyard to put the skull on his remains where he was set free. The rewards I received were 5 ancient bones, which gave me 200 prayer XP, along with 125 prayer XP lamp, and 1 quest point, leaving me a total of 11 quest points. While still in Lumbridge, I went over to the Lumbridge kitchen to talk to the chef to start the quest called Cook's Assistant. The required items for this quest were an empty pot and an empty bucket, which you can get the pot in the Lumbridge Castle kitchen, and you can get the bucket in the cow pen near the goblins. So I spoke to the chef and he informed me it was the Duke of Lumbridge's birthday. The issue was he forgot, so I decided to help get the ingredients. So I went over to the Lumbridge mill to make some extra fine grain. Next, I went to the chicken pen and grabbed a large egg, and for the final ingredient, I went over to the cow pen and milked the cows for some milk. And just like that, it was quest complete. The quest rewarded us with 1 quest point, 300 cooking experience, and 500 coins, and 20 sardines. Blech, gross. Also, we have access to the cook range. This leaves us with 12 quest points. The very next quest, I teleported to Draenor and talked to Morgan, where we would start the quest known as the Vampire Slayer. The requirements for this quest was a beer, which you can purchase a pint with 2 coins during the quest. You also need to defeat a level 28 enemy. After speaking with Morgan, I went to Verot to talk to Dr. Harlow to learn how to kill the vampire in the Draenor mansion. After purchasing him a pint, he informed me I would need some garlic, a special steak, and a special hammer that I would need to use to drive through the heart of the vampire. This wasn't going to be an easy task. I once more teleported back to Draenor and went into the very spooky, scary mansion, and I went to the basement where I would run into the coffin where the vampire laid. I went up to the coffin and pushed the coffin open. The vampire knocked me back, and that's when the fight of my life started, which ended up me driving the stake through his vampire heart. I went back to Morgan and informed her that the town was safe, that there was no longer a vampire terrorizing the town. I was rewarded 3 quest points and 4,825 combat XP lamp. I was now up to 15 quest points. Up next, it was time to set off to see the King of Varrock himself, King Rold. He informed me he hasn't heard from the priest known as Drezel, and he would like me to make sure that nothing's happened to him. So for this quest, I would need a bucket, 50 rune essence, or 25 pure essence. They cannot be noted. Also, I would need to be able to defeat a level 33 enemy and a level 23 enemy. This shouldn't be a problem. I set off to the temple near Canvas and knocked on the door, but a very suspicious monk answered, who had no idea who King Rold was or who Drezel was. However, they tricked me into killing the guard dog in the crypt right next to the temple. After that, I went back to the king and informed him what happened at the temple. Unfortunately, I did not know that the dog was protecting the holy well of the river south, and without the dog we could be in severe peril of attack. Quickly realizing I made a huge boo-boo, I went back to the temple, but this time, I'm barging right through those doors, taking a key from one of the evil Zamorakian monks, and quickly made haste to the crypt to trade out the key I got from the monk to grab an iron key from the monument. I also grabbed some water because I heard there was a vampire sleeping upstairs. Realizing that he was a monk, he could bless the water for me. So I went and broke into the temple once more and went up the stairs and found Drezel. I quickly unlocked his prison cell and asked him to bless the water. I quickly rushed to the coffin and poured the holy water all over the coffin. This way, the vampire would not be bothering us. We quickly escaped to the crypt because we needed to make sure there was no damage to the holy barrier by those evil Zamorakians. Unfortunately, he informed me that the things were worse than he feared, and he was not sure if he could even repair it. The damage, it seemed they poured some form of evil potion down the well, which led to the river south. This is not good, because the evil creatures of Mortania could invade at their own leisure. Drezel quickly placed a barrier on the entrance that leads to Mortania, but it's not a very powerful spell and required him to remain here to keep focus. We already had one creature breakthrough. The only way we thought to undo the damage was to use rune essence, because they absorb magic and allows wizards to create runes, which should also absorb the evil potion and purify the river. I quickly gave him my pure essence that I conveniently had. He blessed the stones and placed them within the well, and Miss Sloane should be protected once more. And that's the end of the Pierce and Pearl story. I received 1,406 prayer experience, along with a blessed Wolfbane dagger, along with 5 kudos from the historian Minyas at the Varrock Museum, along with 1 quest point. This left me with 16 quest points total. Now it was time I addressed a huge issue over at Ardong, where the city was basically divided by what everyone believes to be a plague. However, I received word from a man named Edmund who needed help to get his daughter back from the west side of Ardong, which is where the wall was to divide the citizens who need to be quarantined. He informed me that his daughter was a missionary and a healer, so she couldn't stand to hear all the terror and screams that came from the other side of the wall. However, he hasn't heard from her in days, so I agreed to help, and he told me I would need protection from the plague. It was to enter Ardong, which his wife made a special gas mask for Elena. She just needed more dwellberries. So why dwellberries? Well, it was said that it helps repel the virus. While I was there, I took a photo of Elena. Next, we poured some water to uncover the manhole and entered the sewer, and went up to the pipeline and tied some rope around the grill. Me and Edmund pulled the grill right off the pipeline and entered through the city's manhole, and now it was time to search for Elena. Before we go any further, it was time again to mention our comment of the day. Today's comment is from Carmina, who asks, could you tell us why you pick the quests you do and when you do? Well, for starters, some of the quests, such as Waterfall Quest, are good for a large amount of experience. Plus, it's a requirement for future quests. Not only that, but having a set goal to get to a certain area, in this case, Perfinis, is very helpful. But also, I wanted to get to a Dragon Slayer. For a reason, well, hopefully you'll see in the next episode. But for now, it was time to continue our search for Elena. As I crawled out of the manhole, I asked Jedwick if he has seen a woman who looked like this photo, which he has, but he hasn't seen her in a good while. He informed me she was staying over at the Renhesen family and asked me if I could bring and return a book he borrowed while I'm over there. And so I headed north and knocked on the door. However, they didn't seem to want the company, so I told them that I was a friend of Jedwick's. I returned the book and spoke to Martha and asked if she had seen Elena. She informed me she had planned to return home, but her daughter Millie was playing near the wall and saw Elena get kidnapped by some shadow figure. So I went up the ladder and talked to Millie. She informed me that Alina got sacked and dragged her to a building that was boarded up with no windows, and the building was located in the southeast corner of the city. And so that's exactly where I went, but when I got there, security was tight and they wouldn't let me in without a signed permission from the Bravik, the city warder. I went over to the mansion and informed him about Alina's kidnapping. He couldn't believe it, so he signed the permission slip and I went back to the house. However, they didn't believe it was real, so they questioned it, but while their backs were turned, I snuck inside and searched the barrels for a key and went down the stairs. I finally found her. It was time to break her out of her cell and get her back home. As I went back through the sewers, I stopped and spoke to her father, Edmund. Just like that, it was quest complete. 2,425 mining experience, along with the ability to teleport to Ardong, access to West Ardong, and a gas mask. This left me with 17 quest points. Sorry to say it, everyone, but that's going to do it for this episode. I know it wasn't that much progress in terms of leveling or the bank, but we did get a lot of progress done in terms of quests. That's going to pay off in the end. I hope you liked this video, and I hope you do hit the subscribe button to stay up to date. Till next time, I'm Auzzy. See ya.